We're live. So we're back with episode one of the Intellicast. We did an episode zero intro, sort of just jumping into the topics we kind of wanted to explore for the duration of however long this podcast as a series will run, however long Intellicast will be. This episode will be unique in that I'll have a website up which will contain an RSS feed to distribute this podcast to iTunes, Google Play, basically any podcasting site you would want to use. Besides that, some other housekeeping items. Daniel and I for sure am going to be attending the International Conference on Machine Learning in June. That's June 10th through the 15th. And hopefully, we're going to try and get Daniel to drive down with me, and we're going to interview some of the amazing minds at work at the conference. And if we're not able to snag some of those interviews, we'll at least capture some good footage of the workshops and tutorials and conferences going on there. So
If I come down there with you, there's going to be a pretty rad episode of Path to Neuralink you guys will be seeing.
it's going to be a good episode.
So hopefully I can get my arrangements done. Make it
5
down.
days worth of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
5 days worth of footage. That'll be a good episode, certainly. Any other housekeeping stuff? The Discord server is currently popping. We have like 20 people in there now, and we share research. It's fun. I've really enjoyed your guys' contributions to the Discord server and the links you share with me. It's like automating my research to some degree because people send me interesting stuff that I wouldn't necessarily have the time to find.
So do you have like now a community of people that will be helping you sort of on the side research stuff in
Yeah.
the Discord?
Yeah,
That is
and
great.
one of the guys in there, he's from France. He just uh, started his master's in artificial intelligence. So like people are building up interest, and we all support each other. You know, building a little community. I like it. I like what we have going on here.
Now, will you meet anyone at the conference from the Discord? Are you gonna try to get people to come down there and meet you?
I'm gonna try. Big yawn. I'm gonna try and ask people if they would like to come down to the conference. I think it would be really fun to have a little meetup of sorts. You know, get people to all go out to lunch or something. That would be good. So that's the conference. That's the Discord server, folks. Let's jump right into things today. I have a couple things that I want to hit in terms of discussion. I'd like to apologize. I kind of said episode one would be an interview with the Dream Thoughts researcher from University of Oregon who's using machine learning and AI to sort of reconstruct images people are visualizing in their heads. I thought that would be a good episode, but it looks like that's going to be postponed to episode 2 or 3. It's been hard to get into contact with that guy. I guess he's a little bit too busy for Mr. Andrew Pinch. I My girlfriend recently wrote a paper on artificial intelligence in healthcare and should robots be allowed in the workplace. And although it was just for a writing class, so it didn't go too in depth and hit on a lot of the nuance of AI in the healthcare industry, I just wanted to broach that subject with you, Daniel, and sort of get an outsider's perspective because I'm, completely cheering, rooting, getting more robots, so to speak, in the healthcare workplace because I think we could reduce the amount of death. 100,000 people die every year because of hospital mistakes alone, like just people not washing their hands. Robots would never make that mistake. So, as an outsider perspective, someone who's not necessarily, in the trenches of machine learning and AI, what's your view on that? How would you feel about having a robot doctor, quote, quote?
This is a very interesting question because obviously the first thing people are going to grab onto that are in support of this is obviously there's a number of mistakes that a machine is never going to make that even a medical professional could make. However, if me personally, if I have a medical issue, obviously you want the doctor to be as logical and capable as possible, but you don't want it to be completely impersonal. People build very close relationships with their doctors, and that part of it is actually very important because a doctor comes to understand you, comes to know who you are, and that actually helps in the process of dealing with your medical issues because they know your history and whatnot. A robot would conceivably be able to do this, but there wouldn't be that human touch that I think a lot of people appreciate with a good doctor. Most good doctors are people that are very personable and they're very good at getting to know their patients and everything
Hmm.
like that. And so while they are prone to make more mistakes than a machine would, the question is, would you want a completely impersonal um, thing in charge of your health?
What if we end up in a world where we essentially just have social workers in healthcare just to be the human element, and then all the actual medical work and examinations and surgeries and analyses are taking place through artificial intelligence systems? What if all the actual medical grunt work just gets fed to AI, and then the people element is performed by, social worker John coming in and making sure you're feeling all
Well, I mean,
right
I
and
think that there's actually an element of this where it would be unhealthy to have robots doing everything, especially for
mhm,
something like nursing, because um, if you are alone in a hospital with no human contact, you are going to get very lonely. You're going to get very depressed, and that's
you're probably gonna get more
yes,
sick.
because having human contact actually is a part of medicine. It's a part of your recovery. If you have no human contact, you aren't going to recover as fast. And
Precisely.
that's physiological. That's not just mental. That's a physiological thing. You need human contact. So there is a part in human medicine that cannot be 100% replaced by machines. However, as you say, the grunt work when it comes to like splitting hairs and figuring out what the issue is, diagnosing, treating, that kind of stuff, robots are obviously going to be better. They
Mhm.
will be more accurate. They will not make as many mistakes. So in that case, you want robots. But I do think that when we're taking care of another human, medically speaking, other humans will always need to be involved in that just from a psychological and to some degree a physiological perspective. And
Mhm.
that's my opinion on it. So I'm for robots, but I don't think it will ever be 100% only robots and AI, and I don't think it should be.
One thing I found out that was interesting to me, but I didn't necessarily agree with the approach, was I believe it's this Japanese doctor who's working on these full scale models of human bodies for surgeons in training to practice on. And in my opinion, this is completely impractical. Building these super expensive, hyper advanced, full scale human robot models for these doctors to practice their surgeries on. This is kind of an aside from what we were on, but I was wondering um, whether or not it would just be more effective to build a virtual reality simulation of a human body.
Well, the
What
question,
do you think the
well,
performance?
well, first off, how traditionally would one practice a surgery? Because,
I think they do it on cadavers. I think that's how they practice
like, on real things.
on real dead people.
Well, yeah, so there's that, and then there's also being in the surgery room and watching a doctor do a surgery.
Hmm.
I think here's the issue when you don't do it on a real thing. Um, Once again, a surgery is much more, obviously, surgeons are very good at controlling their emotions and being very calm and everything like that because they have to be. But there is a very real aspect of I'm performing something on somebody that, if gone wrong, could ruin them. It could kill them. It
Hmm.
could cause insane problems down the line if not done correctly. So I think that performing it on a real, either a dead person or an animal or just being in the surgery room is going to have the emotional content required to build the mental fortitude to perform a surgery properly. I don't think you want 100% only practice on a virtual reality machine or this huge expensive model. But I would say virtual reality would be more effective because it'd just be more cost effective.
Yeah.
But
Well,
would it have the actual physical element to it that you would want?
I almost think I almost think in a virtual reality simulation of a surgery, you can better design the nuance of operating on someone. Because think about in robotics right now, it's very hard to make lifelike humanoid robots. We're
You can
still in the uncanny valley.
you can also induce you can make like a surgery video game where you induce stressful situations like we got spinal fluid leaking somewhere. You got to patch that up and whatever. I mean, how are you gonna make a like a robot that's capable of like you can control all these different variables and then the surgeon who's working on it has to fix them, but in a virtual reality, it's very easy to do that. I
Yeah,
remember there was like a video of a submarine crew training when there's a large gaping hole in the submarine that has to be fixed. And the way that you train to do that is they put them in this giant tank, and then they have an actual valve that's broken and it's spewing in water at a ridiculous degree, and they have to actually fix it. It's a real thing. There's water coming in extreme forces. They have to physically put the thing on, and it's a very real stressful situation, and you have to train like that. So I think that a virtual reality would be better because you could induce in a video game-esque way a problem to be solved.
I'm just wondering if, whether I don't know what will end up prevailing for helping our surgeons improve. Either way, I don't think the end game 50 years from now is human doctors performing surgery with human hands. I think it's all going to be automated. I don't see any reason why surgery as a process can't be automated. Because if you look at
I'd be way more comfortable with a robot performing surgery on me
precisely,
than.
but so many people are almost disturbed by that idea. They're very uncomfortable with the notion of a robot doctor, quote unquote, operating them. I don't know how we can help shift that zeitgeist, because if you just look at the numbers, I think your probability of success with a well trained artificial intelligence system performing a surgery is way higher than with even the
So,
best surgeons in
so
the world.
human error is a very big part of a surgery and why it can be so risky.
Mm-hmm.
There is no human error in a robot.
Mm-mm.
I mean, and human error means like, there could be a time where just a doctor is not having the greatest of days and he doesn't get emotionally reined in properly and he's not 100% focused. I'm sure that's happened in a surgery before, and that could affect it. You're not going to have that with a robot. The robot is literally it's going to be trained by the best doctors on how to perform the surgery. So if you have a robot surgeon, you better be sure that it's trained by the best actual human surgeons, and you're gonna have the best surgery minds on the planet programming this thing and making sure that it works properly. But
I'm
then
just wondering how you even would, from a actual like principles and practice, machine learning AI perspective, how you would make one of these quote robot. We'll just refer to them
I
as
mean, you would have
robot
to have
doc.
multiple apparatuses running this thing,
Yeah,
but because I mean, you can't just have. I mean, imagine if you just had one surgery robot that did everything. Because I mean, the surgery room's a complicated place. There's tons of stuff going on. But I'm just saying that why would you not trust a surgery robot when it's specialized in that and you know that the actual human experts, the only time a surgery robot would ever be approved is if the best surgeons on the planet did not outperform it. Because when you get a surgery, you are getting the best of the best. Only the best even become surgeons, and then a robot would have to outperform the best of the best surgeons before anyone would trust it. So that's what you're getting if you're getting a robot surgeon. You would be getting the best possible surgery out there.
hopefully we can see a shift in the general consensus around a lot of these things. I'm still surprised at how much resistance there is to automating healthcare. We'll see what happens with that in the coming years. I'm certainly on board, and I'll certainly advocate this to my friends and family, as these considerations are being made, and small private discussions between friends.
I mean, have you talked to anyone about what they would feel like if they were being treated by an AI doctor or medical professionals? Like,
I'd be interested in doing a survey on this. Actually, let's conduct a survey on this.
I think we should think of a bunch of different surveys to conduct.
Everyone, we are announcing an official Path to Neuralink survey. We're gonna
Hey, people, submit questions that you want to know, and we'll
submit
ask them.
questions you want to get general ideas from our little Salem working sample. Gosh, if we really dig into our social network, and do just convenient sampling, we could probably get 1,000 responses.
Yeah, just like
Excellent.
because I mean, you really have to try to raise peek under the pie crust to see what's people are thinking about this.
I need to know, because my whole goal is to normalize, um, acceptance of artificial intelligence
Yeah.
in all areas of life. And to do that, I need to know my audience. It's kind of that first notion of public speaking. It's like, what kind of speech you're delivering changes based on who you're actually talking to.
Mm.
Delivering a speech to a group of, you know, devout Mormons versus, a bunch of raven people from Portland. It's going to be very different.
Yeah.
Well, we will publish the results of this medical opinion survey. Small note on that. It is not going to be, some simple random sample. We're actually just going to conveniently dig into our social network and ask all our friends and family. So that might have some selection bias that could skew the results one way or another because a lot of our friends might agree with us.
Yeah.
We'll try and go to second and third order friends of friends and that sort of thing. And we'll compile our results into a video. That will be a fascinating thing to explore. I have no idea what to expect. If I'm gonna put a number on it, I'm gonna say slight majority in favor of human surgeons over robot surgeons.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what the sort of zeitgeist is.
I mean, people still have resistance to automated cars.
Yeah.
Even though
we lose how many fucking people every year in needless car accidents.
I mean, how many crashes have been reported by an automated car? I mean, there's been very, very few.
Very, very few. And think about this, people. You could literally drive like 200 miles an hour down the freeway, bumper to bumper, if everyone was driving AI cars. If every car was an autonomous vehicle, traffic would be eradicated. We wouldn't have stoplights. CGP Grey has an excellent video on this. I think it's either his one about traffic snakes or just talking about autonomous vehicles and its possible effects on traffic. I'll link that in the description. That's an excellent video. So that's good. I'm glad we talked about healthcare and AI's potential impact on healthcare. I'm excited to do this survey. We'll try and get these results out we can probably collect 1,000 within like a week or two, right? If
Probably.
We put stuff out on our social media and ask our friends to as well.
Do some Instagram polls.
Yeah, Instagram polls are great.
Yeah, very good way of collecting data very quickly.
So great. I'm glad social networks have adopted that tool.
I mean, if you could find somebody that has a fairly large following on Instagram that specializes in stuff like this and ask them to do a survey, I mean, you could probably get
I'm actually going to cold call Lex Fridman soon. Friedman? Oh, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's this really awesome autonomous vehicle researcher at MIT who I didn't even know this guy existed until the French dude in our Discord pointed him out. I'm fucking adore this guy now. I want to meet him and, have him sign my tummy. I don't know. I want to get his name tattooed on my left bicep. Like, this guy is my hero. He's awesome. I'm going to cold call him and ask if I could go to MIT to, like, meet him and ask him for career advice. Like, I respect this dude. I really need to get a tribe of mentors surrounding me as I enter into machine learning. I need experts who have experience in the field. That's an aside, though. One thing I want to talk to you about, Daniel, with your perspective as a filmmaker and as someone who makes movies and engages in creative activities. How do you feel about the potential for artificial intelligence to automate your job? What if all movies in the future are written, directed, CG'd, and produced and marketed and distributed by artificial intelligence?
It would not surprise me at all. And the thing, I come from two different perspectives. So it comes from the filmmaker perspective, which is I love the process of making movies. That is something that I will always love doing. It's the reason why I got into it in the first place. It's because I first loved the technical process behind making a movie, and then I fell in love with movies as a consequence of that. So from a movie lover perspective, when I'm just a audience member, I know that eventually AIs will be able to make better movies than humans can, and therefore I will want to watch a movie made by an AI because it'll be better. At the same time, if every movie is being made by an AI, I no longer have a job of making movies, and that's going to make me sad. But
what will you do at that point? So you are put out of work.
I will probably, I mean, say Go, when AI became the best Go player, on the planet, can beat all human Go players, and then they had the um, the AI that did StarCraft 2 and it was beating pro players. I mean, there are still people, playing Go and also playing StarCraft. So
I think it might be different though because films aren't a sport like that. Films are just something you consume, and ultimately, I don't think the end
well,
user of
I can say
films.
personally that a lot of people make movies because they love making it. I mean, you
I'm
just
talking about the people who watch movies, though, the people going to the theaters and supporting
oh,
the industry.
they will watch the best movies. If a production company is going to look at a movie and they're just going to pick the best one, and if the best one's also made by an AI, it's going to do that 100% of the time.
Hmm.
So I'm fine with that because
Better movies.
better movies. But it will be sad for me because I will never get to release a movie, and the most people won't be able to see it because it simply won't be as good as anything an AI
You
can
need
make.
to hurry, buddy. You gotta.
Yeah, I mean that I'm hauling ass on my filmmaking journey so that I can make movies before AI comes in. I don't even know a timeline on that,
No.
but I can say this: me personally, I really want to see a fully animated, high quality CGI non-cartoon film because if you look at something like Toy Story 4, have you seen the trailer for Toy Story
No, does
4?
it look good?
The animation is ridiculous. It's actually sort of insane. And it's like only the characters themselves look cartoony, but the backgrounds look downright real.
I'm gonna look up a photo of this right now. Keep
And
talking.
it's a very weird thing. You're like, well, the characters look like a cartoon, obviously a very high fidelity cartoon, but the background looks like it's real. And so if you just change the animation on the characters, you could have a very photorealistic looking movie. And honestly, animation at this point sometimes looks prettier than live action.
This is
Yeah, and
ridiculous.
I want to see a movie that's a non-cartoon, a serious film, maybe like an action movie or a thriller or something like that, made in CG like that. I think a sci-fi movie or a fantasy movie would be insane to see. I mean, imagine if you had like Lord of the Rings in that kind of animation, that kind of animation fidelity. That would be ridiculous. I mean, you could do things that you can't even do in live action. I mean, not even in the blending of live action and CG because we're very good at blending live action and CG, but it's not perfect. But if everything is CG, then I think it would blend very well together. You wouldn't even need to blend anything. And I really want to see what that would look like. And obviously, if you get to the point where we don't even need that many human artists working on it because an AI can make it, then, and if it's good, then, what's there not to love about it?
A lot of people are gonna be out of work in every
Yeah,
industry.
a lot of people are. I mean, that's what obviously, film and art in general is something that it's human. It's like the most human thing that you can get.
Hmm.
However, I even recognize, look, I can't beat a robot that's going to be better at everything. I mean, that's just coming.
It has infinitely more
It
output than
has
you.
infinitely more output. I can do my best to make the best stuff I can make, but I'm not going to fight against it. I'm not going to be the guy who's like, it will never be able. I mean, I've listened to music made by AI and I study and play the piano and I can recognize, yeah, that's great music. I mean, eventually we're going to have robots that are better than Beethoven.
Ugh.
So who cares? If it's music, it's music. Enjoy it. I mean, it's what the robot's there to do. It's there to make music for you to enjoy. So stop fighting it. Just accept it.
The further we look out, the harder it is to predict what reality is going to be like.
Definitely. I agree.
It's very easy to talk about a lot of these things and to look at the current state of the field and to imagine a world where it's easy to just assume, oh yeah, AI will be able to do this and this and this. But I also need to step back occasionally and take a humbling perspective of we have no idea what the fuck
Yeah,
is going to
we
happen.
have no idea.
AI as a field has gone through 4 winters.
Mm.
There was a great hype in the 60s when neural networks were first invented. And then the great AI winter. Oh, sorry for the rumbling, the dragon that you may be
That was
hearing.
going on earlier.
Can you hear the
Also.
dragon?
Oh yeah, you can hear
Okay, so my garage door is actually it's Smaug. So
it.
I apologize for that. Someone has just come home. Again, AI has had a mini winter, so it's impossible. Take all of our confidence in a lot of our predictions and claims with a great grain of salt, because additionally, we're not even experts in the field.
Well, yeah. I mean, when
I'm not an expert
when
yet.
I was talking about film and AI taking over, I said I believe personally that'll probably eventually happen, and my mentality is in that in that abstraction of the future in which AI does take over film, I am completely fine. I will not be. I will not be. Woe is me. I won't be Cooper's dad from Interstellar as he's sitting on the back porch and he's like, Coop, you got to just accept the world as it is and being all depressed about it. I'm going to be excited. I'm like, this is, better movies for everyone.
I was just gonna say something like the only work left for us to do will be to suck dick at truck stops, but then I remembered sex robots are also advancing rapidly.
That's very true. It's very true.
There's not gonna be anything left to do.
I mean, okay, think about this. I mean, we're talking about just accepting the future. Look, guys. Now, we can say that we're not experts in AI. Sex robots are here, and they're only going to get better. And look, guys. Interaction with the opposite sex is actually very simple from a neurochemistry perspective. It is basically when you feel the sensation of love, you are just being flooded with various neurotransmitters. You are just being overtaken. It's a combination of sexual attraction and all this other stuff. So a robot doesn't have to do much to necessarily simulate. I mean,
especially for men, it's much easier.
Yeah, imagine when you were a kid and you'd watch a movie with, like, let's say you're 12 years old and you're watching, this movie that has this pretty girl in it. You can develop a crush on a movie character, even an animated movie character. How many boys do you know that develop crushes on cute animated characters? It's beyond count. And just imagine that
every male on Earth.
Yes, imagine that you have a robot that is capable of sexually performing, that can also has all these like voice prompts and everything. It's basically will become the most complex MMO dialogue tree ever. You can have legit conversations with it.
Yeah, it won't just be a dead husk you fuck and then put back in the closet.
Yeah, we're already at that point.
That was like my first experience in virtual reality.
Yeah.
I had never worn an HTC Vive before, and they strapped one on and threw me in this game where I'm standing on a ship and this whale appears out of nowhere, and I stumbled back in fear. Even though I know this isn't real. Every piece of sensory information available.
Your brain thinks it's real. That's the thing. We're already there at this point.
One thing I'm really excited about is NVIDIA's Tensor Core line of, well, they wouldn't even be GPUs. I guess they might be classified as TPUs, tensor processing units. These are going to be super budget data science driven cards to go in machine learning workstations that give you way more price to performance for machine learning applications and building and prototyping, rapid prototyping of a lot of these systems. So that's really exciting for me because I'm thinking about my upgrade of, I want to build a machine learning rig. I'm going to need 2 fucking amazing, like, $800 graphics cards. It's going to be a bitch. And that's very frustrating to me, but really looking forward, that might not be what the future holds for,
So is this hardware designed specifically for machine learning purposes?
Specifically for machine learning purposes. So in machine learning, if you get down to the very granular level, basically almost everything that's happening is some variation of a matrix operation.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why GPUs are so fucking great at training neural networks is because a lot of what you need to do when you're rendering graphics on screen for games and films, like GPUs do, what you're doing is matrix multiplication of pixel values to calculate all the pixel gradients and crazy shit that's going on when you're rendering games. I'm not at all versed in that sort of thing. That's just what has been explained to me. And that very luckily happened to be quite useful in building these machine learning applications. Well, it's crazy to me how so many of the advances we've had, how different industries prop each other up on accident almost. You look at, for CRISPR, for instance, advances from numerous fields came together to allow CRISPR to be discovered. You never would have been able to predict that technology would have arisen.
What is the word? I think the word might be conciliation. Conciliation is when you have multiple branches. I'm pretty sure that's the word, by the way.
We're gonna double check.
Multiple branches of science that come together and assist each other.
Conciliation, the action of mediating between two disputing people or groups. So kind of.
No, that's not the word.
Wait, there's another spelling. No, I'm not seeing. I think you're thinking of a different word.
It's something, it sounds like that, but the point was the word meant that you have
Multiple branches of
multiple
science.
branches of science coming together to provide conclusions that affect all of them.
Hmm.
So it's basically you like synergize. Um,
Well, it's like the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics and physics. All these
yeah.
there's things going on in pure mathematics right now that don't currently have applications, but if history is anything to go by, a lot of what mathematicians are studying and working on today is probably going to have
Well, didn't
crazy
we have some
predictive
situations
power.
where physics actually started informing math?
I don't
I
know.
heard that was a thing. There was a physicist that worked on the Hadron Collider, and he said that some of the stuff that they were discovering about particle physics was actually informing some stuff about advanced mathematics. So usually it was math first, then applied to physics, but then it was like physics was actually being applied to math. And I can't remember who said it, but that to me was just like that was crazy. It's like,
Maybe next Tegmark's mathematical universe hypothesis is gaining some ground.
yeah, definitely.
We'll see. So I'm really excited about the Tensor Core line of NVIDIA cards. That'll be very exciting to see if that's accessible. I don't know if they're only going to sell those to like research labs. I'm hoping that's available to everyone. Because I'll just build a computer with like 8 of those.
Mm.
I can kick ass. I heard they're only going to be like $100 or something.
Only 100?
That would be insane.
Man, I mean, wouldn't that be great just to have like a system only for machine learning purposes? You just
Hmm.
have your machine learning computer.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that be cool to basically tell people that you have? Yeah, so I have my gaming PC, I have my work laptop, and then I have my machine learning rig. They're like, a what?
This baby can do 1 billion tensor operations a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're moving into an exciting future for machine learning. TensorFlow 2.0 just came out, so a lot more accessible. They cut away a lot of the fat. As someone who was just entering into sort of understanding the TensorFlow framework for developing machine learning apps, I'm thrilled because there's a lot of things that confused me. They had you would have to initiate different states of the what was this? There's this really annoying thing in TensorFlow 1.14 I think was the version before TensorFlow 2.0. They cut out a lot of that useless garbage. Um, all the frameworks are making huge progress and becoming more accessible. There's more educational material coming out than one can reasonably consume in a reasonable amount of time. I have 3 books on deep learning now. Um, it's a it's a very good time to be entering the field. Hopefully, we don't enter another AI winter that's been described to me in my
Is an AI
historical
winter when you
research.
have long periods of basically no advancements?
Hmm. What happened is when the field initially started, we talked about this earlier. There was a shit ton of hype. The guy who I think discovered neural networks and wrote the book on perceptrons said something like, within 10 years, before the end of the decade, a computer will be able to do everything a man can do, but better. Back in 1969. We all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
After these very insane claims were not instantiated, there was a lot of, little fella,
Well, you
you
said there's been four of them, right?
like three or
Is there
four.
any pattern to when they occur?
I don't know if there's any regularity. It's just lots of hype, lots of investment and hype fails to meet expectations, lack of investment. It's almost like Ray Dalio's model of how the economy works, of this roller coaster going up and down. It's like different sections. There's a parabolic arc for growth and one for a little bit of a downturn. But overall, there's progress.
Mm-hmm.
If you average it out, it's a linear relationship. AI is getting better. When you look at the granular details, it's big ups, big downs, big ups, big downs, with growth over time. I hope it would be so sad if I got my master's in AI and then suddenly we hit a wall where there's not enough compute power to advance the field anymore and everything's dead for 10 years and I'm out of work. It's not unreasonable to think that could happen, but I'm hoping we just break through that and have
Mm.
rapid development. That would be exciting. What did we have left on the agenda? We've talked about everything we wanted to talk about today. What's our record time at? How are we doing?
Our record time is 53 minutes.
53 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you want to call it quits?
I think we've had a very long and lengthy set of discussions, and I think that's a good place to end it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Check out the Discord server. I'll link books Daniel and I are reading down below. Again, check out Daniel's channel where he does his short films. That's Newt Films. You can look that up or grab the link in the description. Either way, thanks for tuning in, folks. This has been Andrew Pinch and
Daniel Yonker.
thanks for watching. Stay safe.